Waleed, let's take a few minutes. Tell us about your business model today and tell us how you got to that point and where you're going in the future with that model.
So our model is, and Carla, you asked a great question earlier that I never answered. You said we're 700 square feet, and how do we get all this laundry in this store? So at one point, for drop-off, it worked well. And then we transitioned to pickup and delivery. Our volume increased dramatically because now we're not just serving people who walk or drive a couple blocks to come to the store. Now we're running out and bringing it in. So our volume just exponentially grew. But we realized in the model, if we can rotate the orders, we don't need more space. So we've pivoted a couple times. So our model now is we're strictly drop off and pick up and delivery. We don't have self-service anymore. So September 20, either 2020 or September 2019, I'm sorry, I'm bad with dates. We stopped doing self-service 100%.
So the location across the street, did you sell that or did that become storage area?
So that's a whole nother thing. So I really don't talk about it much. And I've only mentioned it in one other place, I think. Whatever it was, 2020 or September 2019, my dad and I had a conversation. He was like, yeah, so listen, it's business. The lease, we need to talk about the rent. I was like, okay, cool, let's talk about the rent. And he was like, this is going to be the new rent. And I looked at the number and I was just like, includes you getting a cut of the revenue or just the rent? Like, are you stepping away from being part of the business and just want to be the landlord? And he was like, no, it's both. So I was like, okay. And I looked at the number and I was like, we can't do that number. And then when I said we, not me, talking about the business. And this is where family dynamics and business, you got to separate. I was like, the business can't do that number. Let's be clear. And he was like, well, this is the number I want as the landlord. And I was like, I totally respect it. I was like, I'll get back to you. And I thought about it and I was like, we're not doing it. So we won't have a store anymore. And then right about then is when I need to change my underwears, when I made that decision. And I was like, Jess, we're going 100% on drop off and pick up and delivery. And she was like, what? I was like, yeah, this is the number Pop wants for rent, AKA the landlord. And she was like, yeah, I don't think we could have done it, but there wouldn't have been enough for us to reinvest and grow the business. And I was like, it's a stretch. So I was like, we're going to go 100% pick up and delay. And at that point, to bring you up to speed, we had already closed the store probably 4 days out of the week at that point for self-service because we were doing all the drop-offs in the store those 4 days. And we were even running a team at night. So we were already kind of transitioning to pick up and drop off only. And that just accelerated for us. So I was so happy Pop, AKA the landlord, was like, yeah, this is the new rent. Because it pushed us. It made us uncomfortable. And the more we keep putting ourselves in uncomfortable situations, I swear the more success we have. So we made that transition. So
real quick, how did that work though? Because when you lost the self-serve laundromat, you also lost your facility for your pickup and delivery. So
yeah, so that's why I had to change my underwears. So
they put washers and dryers on the roof.
Right. I was like, how are we gonna process all these orders now? Like that was a whole nother thing. And again, those uncomfortable situations, they bring out the entrepreneur in you. They make you really think. They make you invent. Like, what is that saying? Like, necessity is the mother of invention or something like that. And it made us really think. And at that time, I was reading a book. Well, I had just read a book before called Power. I believe it's called Power Economics. And it talks about cooperative economics, like building economics in the community and how money leaves a community and how the average dollar is spent in the community. And it compared like different communities, how dollars stay within some communities longer than they do in other communities. So on that, it talks about how do you build other businesses up in the community along with you. And I'm super into cooperative economics. So I talked to a colleague who has a laundromat, And I was like, hey, like, how many turns you get a day? And he was like, not enough. I was like, what if we could turn your machines at night or in late afternoon when your store is slow? He was like, yeah. So I was like, cool, listen, I got a team. I want to train your team and we're going to do laundry in your store. He was like, I don't care. Let's figure this out. So we started doing that. And then went from, in our industry, it's called wholesaling, but
Mhm.
I don't consider it wholesaling the way we do it. It's more of a partnership. And it was kind of a nightmarish dealing with, a couple of different, because of the mindset. Their mindset was, I just want to get more pounds. They weren't like trying to deliver a quality product. So we dealt with a couple of different partners, and to where we are today, we have two partners that we work with Wash and Fold. And we go to their stores, we train their team members. They do it exactly to our standards, do it to the T how we want it. We do inspections, we go by the store, we have great relationships with them. And their model is they want to do commercial laundry. So they at night they have a team member who does it, and then another colleague they have another side of their store that they devote just to commercial because they have a large facility. So it works out great for us. And what I love more now is, granted, we don't hire as many teamers as we used to. We had like 12, 13 team members. Now we're like 5. But we're super lean. But the impact we have on the community is way greater because now the money that we're sending to those businesses, it impacts one businesses in another borough from us. So now we're impacting that neighborhood in that borough. The other businesses, they're in a neighboring neighborhood. We get to impact their team members, their community, their business. So it's a huge win for us. And be not putting their business out there. But some of our vendors, like, they get a couple $100,000 a year from us, just
Mhm.
Working with us as a partner. And I sit down with them and figure out, like, how can we do more? So
That's
yeah,
fantastic.
we're 700 square feet. We have no washers, no dryers, um, and our model is the orders have to rotate as fast as possible. So as soon as they're coming in, we're notifying our clients that your order's ready or it's going on the truck to go get delivered. Well, I shouldn't say the truck, but the dashers are coming in because we have no drivers now. We use DoorDash 100% for our pickup and delivery. So we'll notify the client and then the client will schedule the delivery. And then a dasher shows up like in 10, 15 minutes and the orders are out the door now. So we can rotate that 700 square feet. We turned it into 2,100 square feet because
Mhm.
we're able to rotate that shelf space so fast.
Okay. So describe for people within your business model before we go. We don't want to leave that out there because you just said Dashers, like, oh yeah, just Dashers,
That'd be fun.
DoorDash.
They're just
Okay.
dashers.
Tell our audience how you run a pickup and delivery full service business model, and you have no washers and dryers, you have no drivers, and no
Vehicles.
vehicles.
Right. So someone goes onto our website, client, and they make an order. That order, we have a partnership with our business management software and DoorDash. And that order comes in, goes to DoorDash. DoorDash dispatches a dasher to their house, picks up the order, brings it straight to our store. They drop it off. We tag it. We do what we got to do. And then we start the processing part of it on the back end. Once it's done, we rack it. Usual routine goes on the shelf. We send a notification. Client says, I'm ready to have it delivered. Dasher shows up. We hand it to the dasher and it's out the door. And sometimes it's in a matter of like minutes. Like we'll hit the notify client button to say your order's done. They get a text from us. And then we'll see a dasher like 10 minutes later. Literally, sometimes we have dashers just sitting in front of our store waiting for orders to pop up on their
Because
app.
they know it's going to.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've developed a relationship with the dashers. Some of them show up like 4 or 5 times a day, like
Mhm.
doing the orders for us. So there's a lot of conversation in the industry. And I'm sure you've heard it and been a part of it and seen it on the forums and the videos that you cannot do pickup and delivery using gig economy workers. And I'm here to say that's not true. And you
Mhm.
said it earlier, what works in one area market might not work in another, but
Mhm.
there's pieces we can take from each market and use in our own.
Mhm.
And we've been a true test to it. We had 6 drivers and we slowly transitioned to having all DoorDash. And we're probably 8 months in on only DoorDash.
Mhm.
Wow.
And we're not looking back either.
Yeah. So you mentioned the system, but you didn't mention the name of it. Let's give them credit where credit's
sorry.
due.
Yeah, we use Sense. We transitioned to
Sense.
Sense September or August last year.
Okay.
And so the orders come in through Sense. Sense feeds it to DoorDash, and it's what we do.